Before we get started with today's video, I just want to let you guys know that the pre-sale ends on Sunday night for the quarantine and build shirts. So head over to MotionAutoTv.com and grab you one. We've sold almost 100 of them so far, so I really appreciate everybody who has bought one so far. But if you haven't and you can, MotionAutoTv.com. Let's get started with today's video.
We make the streams.
To the channel, we're working on the C10 build today. Again, 66 C10 08 GMC Envoy frame swap is kind of commencing. So we got rid of the old frame yesterday, stuck this one under here, and now today is the day we're actually going to start cutting on some stuff. So when we started setting this thing down, the front of this just sits too low right here, or basically the frame sits too high compared to, so you can see this cab mount is really low and that cab mount is really high. Whereas if you look at them on here, there's not that big of a difference. There's probably a 6-inch difference, whereas on here there's like 1.5 feet of difference or so. So basically what we're gonna do is kind of lower this thing back down a little bit, figure out where I need to cut it, and then we're just gonna freaking cut it. And then I guess go from there. So set this thing down, get it to where the front will actually drop down a little bit more. We'll probably go ahead and remove these inner fender wells just so that we could get around these little strut tower things right there. But once we get those out of the way, we should be able to set this thing down and start moving or modifying the cab mounts to put them in the right position. So we got this thing sitting down in here a lot lower. Pulled out this guy right here and had to make a little notch for this power steering pump. But now it's basically sitting on the inside of the fender liners. So went ahead and made a mark kind of where we're gonna cut it for now and see where it lines up. So this front piece right here is gonna drop down in front of it. These frame rails are gonna sit right on the side of the frame, actually right here. This mount right here needs to go, basically we'll cut this off and move it back, put it right here because that's where that mount point is. And we still actually have to go down a lot with the cab. So right here, basically we need to remove this mount as well, and the factory mount is just right there. So this will basically sit right on top of the frame. Probably take this little puck out, stick it right there, and figure out a good way to actually mount it and bolt it, or to be able to actually do that. So got a couple little things. We're gonna go ahead and lift it back up, cut that out, and you can see this is the frame chunk that I cut off. This is basically 12.5 inches from the front, so we should be able to re-weld that lower down and make some different mounts, or just make like another little bracket to kind of hold the front of this thing. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this guy out and start giving her the cuts. Alright guys, I've been plugging away on this thing for a little while now, and kind of got these things pretty close to where they need to be as far as cutting these tubs. And I know, I know I probably shouldn't have cut them, but I would have had to spend like 300 and some bucks to get like some aftermarket reproducing ones just to save these ones, just to sit them around. And they would have sat around the shop and I would have never sold them. It would have just been one of those things. So, and I want wheel wells in here. I don't want this thing like being, when you drive it, obviously we're going to have a turbo setup and stuff in here. Hopefully the engine bay will look cool. I don't know how cool we'll actually be able to make this engine look. But again, I don't want a bunch of crap, flying in it. Like if we drive it in the rain, or if we decide to go mud bogging or something in it. But yeah, so I don't think that turned out too bad. And you can actually see the strut stuff right there. So I think that actually, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like we just hacked it up like crazy. And we'll go back in and kind of round all these edges. And it might end up, it might actually sit up just a little bit higher. So basically, it's almost sitting on the frame completely. I had it sitting on there and had the lift completely out from underneath it. But what I wanted to show you guys real quick, yesterday I removed this rear mount right here and then the front mount right there. And that basically goes right here. So this is where we have our cab bolting location. That's basically where we're gonna mount it. So I just had these blocks of wood slid under there a little bit ago, and it mounted just perfect right there. So I'm just trying to figure out what's gonna be the best way to get something on here. I don't know if I should like cut this out and then weld in a nut and then just put the bolt in from the top with like one of these little bushings in it. Haven't quite decided yet. I thought about doing something like this. Since I cut this off right here, if I just kind of put it over, maybe move it over just a little bit more and then kind of bend one of these tabs down on the side to kind of reinforce it right there on the bottom, and then we could actually get one of those mounts in there. So that's kind of an idea. Ty's getting the front bumper and rear bumpers off of this frame for now. They actually had this hitch on here, which I mean honestly would have worked pretty good back in the day. So it's welded right here, bolted. Well, looks like a flat piece of strapping that they use, or actually that's angle iron. So bolted it right there, welded it to that, welded it to this, and then welded it to the bumper on the very bottom. So once we get this license plate bracket off, I'll be able to cut some of the little tack welds they have right there, and then we'll pull the bumpers off here. Because the plan is to actually have these the bumpers fit it and make it look like it, like we never did the frame swap. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull these bolts out real quick, set it on there, because there's a bunch of crap under it from like hitting it with the Sawzall and cutting and grinding and stuff. There's just so much dirt down here. I just want to actually roll it back, get kind of a visual of it sitting on there, and then we'll go from there. 66 C10 is rolling on its own frame, or its new frame. So still haven't made the mounts right here. Basically just set them down right there on the pieces of wood. I think it needs to go up maybe like a ½ an inch or so in the back, and then actually maybe raise the front just a little bit, just to where we could get some sort of a bushing or something up underneath where the actual cab mounts. So you can see right there, that's actually where the bolt comes down, and so it's resting right here on the frame, so it actually does need to go up just a smidge, unless I just decide to cut off a little bit of that right there too, which that's, that's an option. So yeah, basically the cab bolts right there, and the back comes up from the bottom, but we could probably do something going from the top, and then right there, that's where the front cab bolt goes down, and you can see that it's just kind of hanging out on the side of the frame right there. So this one's pretty much doing the same thing. We actually probably need to scoot over the frame in the front just a little bit so they even out. But yeah, I got everything pretty even in the back, like 2 3/4 inches in between the frame right there. So definitely need to do some more measuring. Obviously it's not bolted down or finalized yet, so mostly just rolling it back to take a look at it and see how it actually looks. So I was really concerned that it was going to be really wide in the front, and we weren't going to be able to get some cool wheels on here, but I think we're going to be all right. So yeah, next thing, once we actually get this thing mounted, is to figure out how to lower this, because sitting at this ride height, it's a little bit lower, but obviously we want this thing freaking slammed on the ground as much as we can. So, you know, we could achieve that by setting the cab down a little bit further, you know, to where we can kind of get the body low. We have plenty of room right here for the hood, because these hoods, they go up, and I mean, you could probably go to like right here with that engine the way they're kind of shaped. So yeah, it's definitely looking good, giving me some hope. Now I just need to figure out a creative way or a useful way to actually make the body mounts to where, you know, it's easy to come on and off, serviceable, I guess, and you know, it's not necessarily hard mounted either. So we figured before we officially mount the truck body on this thing, we need to test fit the bed, make sure that the length and everything is looking all right, and then we don't need to modify it or do anything other crazy before I start cutting and welding, making mounts and stuff. So one of the things that, like I said before, the bed is going to have to pretty much go up inside of these right here, or this is going to have to go up inside the bed where this wood and all the cross braces are. So what we're going to go ahead and do is actually remove this this wood and these little cross braces and stuff, so that we could actually set this thing down. So we're going to get that stuff off, and then we're going to test fit. Off this thing, it's basically 3 bolts on each side, and I thought this was just gonna be like some cheap thing, but I mean, honestly, pretty solid unit we got right there. So it's got the, I think they call it that, it's a class something. It's a 2-inch receiver, so it's not like one of those like little tiny ones like we put on the Mustang. So I think you could actually tow some stuff with this thing. So we might try to modify that, get that back on it later, but for now we just took it off because it was sitting up about right here. So yeah, got the wood out of the bed. Man, that was a big pain. Tons and tons of bolts, a lot of them like rounded out, just because it's like those ones where it has a little like the bullet head or the round head, and then like right here, a lot of times they basically just round it off on the thing. So we had to like cut them and pry them and do a bunch of stuff to get it off. But all the wood is out of the bed. So we're gonna go ahead and roll the truck back and kind of start setting this thing down on there, see what it looks like, see how we're gonna be able to mount this thing. So doing some testing, setting the bed on here. So up front, we're kind of getting close. It's a little bit close to the cab up here on the top. But mostly what we were looking to figure out is actually how the wheel sits in the wheel well, if it looks all right, or if it looks like it's too far back or too far forward. So right now, right there on the bottom, we have about 1 inch, and on the top we have about 0 inches. So the reason it's doing that is just because the back of the bed is kicked up, so it's basically sitting, you can see this piece basically needs to drop down below that, and then right here we have this back cab mount. It's sitting on the back piece of the bed, same thing right here, and then you can see the little like kind of the shock towers, they're actually in the way of this little side thing. So I think what we'll have to end up doing is trimming the bed out just a little bit right there. And kind of the plan is to kind of have a raised bed anyhow, But overall, I think we're definitely getting close. You know, we just need to cut some stuff. So I think I'm going to cut the edge of this off so that when it sets down, this will actually kind of sit flat right there, just for maybe temporary purposes, just to see if that's a good look. And we'll cut this, and then what we'll do is we'll slide the bed back a little bit so this will actually drop down below this little lip right here, and then maybe we could use this to kind of mount to the back of the frame or something like that. But yeah, up here in the front, we also have these mounts, which they're kind of in the way, but it might we might be able to just make like a nice little bracket or put like another little mount right here off the back. So, and then those little frame pieces, they basically slide down the side. So I need to pull this fuel line kind of back up on the side, but then that should almost kind of let us square it up right there on the frame. So yeah, definitely looking promising. Like I said, I think we might just end up having to do the raised bed. I don't know how these things come off. I don't know if they're welded or maybe it's just like a trim piece or something that slides straight back. I don't know, maybe I need to do some Googling real quick before I start cutting it. But this one looks like it was welded. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll figure it out. But yeah, I want to get this bed kind of sitting down on here to kind of see how she's gonna look. All right, guys, so we got this thing back on there. I mean, I'm thinking that
The happy dance. That's my quarantine dance when I come out of quarantine.
what? Let's see it.
Oh, they missed it. They'll have to come out if they want to see it.
I mean, I think that looks good, you know. I mean, I
thought it was
think
gonna be more up to the.
I think overall.
I thought this thing was
So I think the bed needs to go down just a smidge. We had it down a little bit lower, so basically it's sitting on right there. See those guys? So that's like the factory mount, and then we just use the little rubber isolator thing, and then we put a piece of wood just to kind of bump it up a little bit. But yeah, you can see right there on the frame where it is. I mean, we can make some easy brackets off of that too to kind of hold this thing up. So man, it's kind of funny how simple this thing is kind of going together. So just need to kind of make sure that it's looking good side to side.
Elbows up, side to side.
But yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. I'm pretty stoked. So the wheel wells sit, and the tires sit in the wheel wells. So I went ahead and I just cut off these mounts right here on the edge. There's basically this little piece. So I just sliced that off. So it's kind of sitting right here now. It's got a nice little lip that it's sitting there. These back things, we just kind of had to use a screwdriver and pop them back underneath here. But that would be an easy way. Like literally, if we wanted to, we could just like bolt it. Actually, look right here on the bottom. We'd almost just make a flat plate and just literally bolt it straight to it. And we could bolt the back of it if we wanted to. So, yeah. So we have a little bit of wiggle room going side to side on this thing. And again, we don't have the cab or anything bolted on it yet. I haven't quite decided on how I'm actually going to make the mounts on that. But again, most of the purpose of this was to actually just get the bed on it, get it test fitted, make sure that it's all going to look correct before we go cutting and welding on the frame and doing all that type of stuff. So obviously the hood is going to work. Gonna close down on there. It's honestly a little bit lower than it was, just even how it is. I kind of would like to bring the cab down just a little bit more, but again, the issue is just that little piece right there. So unless I like notch the frame or cut that chunk of the body off, I think that's almost what we're gonna have to deal with for now. But probably could get it down just a little bit more. But yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking so far. And man, I just wish this engine didn't have a freaking rod knock, because it would be so sick to just like wire this thing real quick, throw a radiator in it, and have like a running and driving truck within like a week, you know, with a frame swap. So we were just talking about it a minute ago, how long it would have actually taken me, you know, to get, you know, an engine swap and a tranny and, you know, get the mounts made and the, you know, the drive shaft and the disc brakes and bleed the brakes and, you know, just all the things. So I think what we're gonna do to test fit it, probably in the next video or so, after we get the body mounted on it, is we'll actually cut the springs on it, just to kind of give us a simulation if we had some lowering springs on it. So I don't know, I'm gonna play with it a little bit more and we'll figure it out. Hey guys, well, when I was kind of messing with the truck bed over here, Ty was actually getting Jamie's Saab all cleaned up. So freaking detail for retail. I'm basically cleaning out the whole inside of this thing, getting it pretty much all ready to sell, wiping it down, vacuuming it out. Just gave it a little wash real quick, pulling out all the extra pieces because Jamie is actually has been driving that thing. And so yeah, I kind of got a little bit distracted from the truck for a little while and started putting a new tire on my dirt bike. Now at Ty, we actually got a set of sway bar in links and a new coolant overflow from the boys over there at esaabparts.com. And if you guys actually don't know, there actually is a like a Saab museum in Sturgis, and there's like this really crazy road that you could drive. So you know, Sturgis, the place where everybody goes on the biker rally, there's literally a Saab museum there, and they have a Facebook page and stuff too. So if you guys are interested in Saabs, and you like Saabs like me, and you're in Sturgis, so you're driving there, be sure to check out the museum or like their Facebook page. And again, if you guys need Saab parts, it's always a huge help to have Matt over there at eSaab Parts. Literally, they have pretty much everything. I don't know what I would do sometimes without.
It's like quick too, like 2-day shipping.
Yeah, he ships it out. Literally ships it out like the next, well, basically that day if you order it. So as you guys know, I've had my little wagon for a while. Jamie has been driving the BMW, and I just kind of decided to keep this for a while. And so yeah, eSaab helped me out a bunch getting pieces. So this is like a basically a trim piece from Europe or something like that. The front bumper is actually the Griffin bumper, so and the Griffin grill and stuff. So my Saab actually looks really unique compared to a lot of them over here in the United States. So my car got hailed on a couple months ago, so it has a bunch of hail dents and stuff in the roof, but I got a new hood and had that all painted. But I think that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Really appreciate you watching this whole C10 thing. If you guys are still interested, there is some of the quarantine and build t-shirts available on the website that we're going to be doing the pre-sale order until Sunday. So if you guys haven't got yourselves one of those, go pick you up one. Help support the channel if you can. Really appreciate everybody who has actually already ordered. We've sold almost 100 of them, and that really helps out in times like these. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a quick little ride on my dirt bike tomorrow. And then I'm gonna see the rest of you guys at Lowe's and Home Depot on Sunday because I gotta freaking put up the fence at my house. So again, appreciate you guys watching. Go check out esaabparts.com and oh, and Tekton too. Freaking Tekton. I was gonna mention them earlier. That socket set right there. So we have the metrics and we have the standards, deep and shallows. We've used that so many times going from this frame to the old stuff because everything on the old truck is standard, and everything on the new truck is metric. So again, huge shout out to Tekton Tools for sending me out that. My coupon code is still valid, so you guys could save 10% on Tekton for the rest of the month. But appreciate you guys watching. See you later.